So you want to get into tech Twitter, follow people on Twitter who share stuff about technology, software, AI, all that jazz, and comment on those and share your own stuff as well. So all of this learning of tech is about learning and then building something and then breaking it and then building something and then finally building it properly and then doing this thing over and over again. The only catch is you have to always increase the complexity of your projects. So the number one thing that you want to do is to learn to enjoy the craft, is to learn to romanticize this feeling of coding, is to learn to be able to sit down at the front of a desk and then code for a longer number of hours, is to be able to feel the power in your hands when you imagine yourself building an app just with the help of a laptop and an internet connection. If you have control over these two types of languages, I think you will be able to create so much more in the tech space as opposed to somebody who just knows Python and JavaScript, which is just one camp, and you're missing out on all of the benefits that you get from the second camp. Software engineering is mainly like 20 to 30% of writing code when you're in college, and when you're in job, it's just about 15% of my day job. It's so much more, and for all that 85%, you have to have strong coding fundamentals. You will never be able to compete with them. And yeah, so that's my advice. When you're getting started, build at least 3 to 5 full stack, big complex applications by hand, and then go full beast mode on AI. What is life pre and post 1000 subscribers? Lol. Thank you for pulling my leg. So this channel crossed 1000 subscribers last week. So thank you so much for subscribing, guys. It always means a lot. And if you haven't already and you're seeing me for the first time, hey guys, I'm Anudeep, and on this channel, I make content on tech, entrepreneurship, and self-improvement. So if any of those things sound interesting, please consider subscribing and receive videos on this topic. And generally, I want to produce videos on this channel which are very high value, which, don't waste your time. But this video is going to be a long, rambly video where I have decided to handpick a few questions that you guys have sent me in my Twitter DMs, on the comments in my previous videos, and also replies to my weekly newsletter. By the way, link to my weekly newsletter down below where I share my personal learnings and stories and my day-to-days of what I'm doing. So yeah, please do that. So yes, as I said, I've handpicked some questions. Let's get to them. And as we do in every other video, let's get started. So the first question is, bro, I'm starting coding in 2025. Number 1, how can I do learning in public effectively? Number 2, how do I effectively learn a programming language? How much emphasis on theory, and can you tell me how much emphasis to give on these? And number 3, even if I don't know anything about coding, is it worth trying to build websites and small apps and stuff using zero knowledge of coding using AI tools? I can prompt and I can learn from it, how ChatGPT builds calculator and trying to learn from it. Okay, that's a lot. So point number 1, learning in public effectively. Learning in public is something that every person who is in a college has to do or should do, in my opinion. And learning in public doesn't mean that you just showcase everything that you're building. It just means that you show your best pieces of work and you show them at a wide variety of places. So Twitter is Twitter, it's called X, but it's formally called Twitter, and I call it Twitter still because there's a space called Tech Twitter. Now that's not a group, that's not a community, that's just a bunch of people on Twitter who talk about tech. So you want to get into tech Twitter, follow people on Twitter who share stuff about technology, software, AI, all that jazz, and comment on those and share your own stuff as well. You want to have a proper GitHub profile with all your active projects. You want to have a portfolio page that you can share in random replies at Twitter or in Reddit and stuff. And I think these are all small things, but one of the main things that you can do is actually sharing large pieces of content. So maybe you can have your own YouTube channel and you can walk the audience through your projects, through your coding task or a difficult assignment that you went through. You can also write long form articles on platforms like Medium and Substack. Substack is what I use for my newsletter as well, and I highly recommend it. But again, a lot of tech people prefer Medium because of its clean UI and all that jazz. So yeah, it doesn't matter. You just have to write good content and then share it with your social media platform. So that's it. So whatever you are doing, you just document it and you share the best bits. Now by best, I don't mean you just share your wins. You also share your losses, you share the lessons learned, you give some advice on somebody who's maybe 2 years behind you, for example. So yeah, all that stuff. Coming back to question number 2, how do I learn to program effectively? So if you're just getting started, I think it is very important to focus on fundamentals. So start with one programming language. As you said, I think you asked about how to learn effectively. So I think the best way to get started is by following a tutorial. Yes, I'm going against me about what I said in my previous video, but not quite, because my previous video was about being in the tutorial hell for a long time. But when you're just getting started, you can just follow a tutorial about a programming language. Maybe it's JavaScript, maybe it's Python, C++, Java, whatever. Just get the basics done. What is a variable? What are the data types? How do you define data types? What are control flows, for loops, if statements, all that jazz. And then after you have a basic understanding, try to build a basic project. And then after that, you learn a bit more. Maybe you learn about object orientation, you learn about encapsulation and inheritance and constructors and all those things. And then you build a different project, maybe a project that is a bit more complex. And then you learn more. Maybe, you learn a framework and then you build a project on that. You see the pattern, right? So all of this learning of tech is about learning and then building something and then breaking it and then building something and then finally building it properly and then doing this thing over and over again. The only catch is you have to always increase the complexity of your projects. And that is what is called project-based learning, and that is very famous in tech. So that is the way to learn any new programming language. Okay, so learning with AI. Yes, you can do that, but I do not recommend it. Like, learn the basics from a tutorial and then, build some projects and then learn some more and build some projects. And until and unless you have 3 to 4 basic projects, you don't jump to the most complex project. And then after you have learned everything, you build 3 to 4 complex projects by hand without the use of AI. I mean, it is a bit redundant in this age of AI, but I think that's going to take you a long way, because these companies firstly will test you on your programming language, will test you on your DSA, will test you on your syntax. So to get entry into a good company, you need to be able to write syntax, you need to be able to learn DSA, and syntax is the basis of that. And then secondly, if you know your basics and then you're using AI, you are at a whole different level. You are a whole different beast altogether, as compared to somebody who just doesn't know the language but is prompting AI for some cheat codes and stuff and just trying to build something. Yes, maybe after building 30 to 40 to 50 projects just using AI, you will get a hang of syntax and the language, but again, when it comes to debugging, it's a whole mess. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. Question number 2. What do you think I should be focusing on for the next 6 months in my coding journey? Right now, I'm just getting started. All right, so you're just getting started. So the number one thing that you want to do is to learn to enjoy the craft, is to learn to romanticize this feeling of coding, is to learn to be able to sit down at the front of a desk and then code for a longer number of hours, is to be able to feel the power in your hands when you imagine yourself building an app just with the help of a laptop and an internet connection. So that is the mindset shift that you want to come into, because this journey is hard. I think there will be phases in your life where you will feel like quitting your programming journey, quitting being a software engineer. But if you romanticize it from the start, all those things will keep you going. Then after you have done that, pick one programming language. You can pick any of those and then master it. And by master, I mean you should be able to obviously know the syntax very well. You should be able to run programs in that, like run the code file. You should be able to make multiple files and then run a full project. You should have at least 3 to 4 medium level projects in that. And then you jump to OOPS, you jump into object orientation, you learn how classes work, how inheritance and encapsulation and polymorphism, all these complex concepts. I know they look complex, but they are not that difficult to master. So you should know how these work. And then you build an intermediate project. And then after that, you pick one application for that language. Maybe you're learning Python, so you pick machine learning. If you're learning JavaScript, you pick up web development, and you pick up some sort of framework that helps you make proper applications that will bring some value to other people. And then, build projects in that. So again, you see the pattern. You learn something and you build projects. Maybe you break that, but in the end, you are able to build something of substance. So yeah, that's the correct way to learn any programming language. And a bonus tip here, I think there are a lot of programming languages to learn. You can learn any of those languages, but I'm going to name the 2 types of languages that you should learn. So one is a very sort of easy language or, loose language that you can learn. It can be Python, it can be JavaScript. Both of those are good. Python enables you to do machine learning. JavaScript enables you to do web development and, whatnot. So learn one of those. And then you should also learn one of those strict languages like Rust, Go. I learned C++ because I come from a robotics background. If you have control over these 2 types of languages, I think you will be able to create so much more in the tech space, as opposed to somebody who just, knows Python and JavaScript, which is just one camp, and you're missing out on all of the benefits that you get from the second camp. Okay, how do I build wealth and earn money in this AI revolution? I'm a student and feeling that I'm missing out on many opportunities. So how can I earn while I don't have the degree completed? BTW, love your videos. Thank you so much for loving. All right, so my hot take is, while you are in a university, you should not pick up these side hustles, because in college you are there to study, you are there to gain experience, you are there to build stuff, break stuff. So all the things that you do, you should do with the aim of learning new things and failing at more and more, so that all the failures are behind you and all the things that you do after your college are a success, because you'd have experience doing so many things which did not work, and you have an intuition, you have a sort of sixth sense of the things that will work. So that's my first advice. I know it is very tempting. I know it is a hot topic among students. They want to make money at college because that is the time when money is the most scarce. But I think if you have a main hustle after you have graduated college, after you're doing some sort of job, or you're doing some sort of startup, after you have your main hustle, you will have so much more time and energy and resources to invest in your side hustle, as opposed to when you are in college, you don't have money, you don't have time, and you don't have attention and energy, because all of those are sucked away by your assignments, by your job search, or whatever it is. So yeah, that's my hot take. But still, I would not leave you empty-handed if you do want to do something on the side to make money, because again, you will end up making so much more money in your day job if you focus on your studies and build your projects, do your internships, do all these things. Or if you join a startup, or if you build your own startup, you'll be able to do all those things and you will be able to earn so much more money, as opposed to this side hustle which will help you earn some cents while you're in college, and maybe you can use that to buy some stuff or whatever. But yeah, I mean, all of these side hustles are for people who already have a successful main hustle. And yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. But then, having said that, I leave you with the no-code tools that are popping up every day. With the help of AI, you can make no-code apps, you can make AI agents, even without writing a single line of code, because there are things like make.com and Zapier and N8N, which lets you handle the backend. And there are tools which lets you handle the front end. So you can master those tools. Just surf the internet. I know this is not the best answer, like you are here for an answer, but I'm telling you to search the internet. But again, that's an essential skill that you can implement. Honestly, I also am not well equipped to answer these types of questions, because I never made money on the side while I was in college. So that's my take on that. Okay, Cursor versus VS Code. Hey man, amazing videos, loved it. As a software engineering student in college, would you recommend me using Cursor AI to build and deploy code over VS Code? I'm just getting started, by the way, with software. It depends, as I said, but since you mentioned that you are just getting started, I would not recommend it, because as I said in my previous answer as well, although AI can write code, AI is a code spitting machine. Software engineering is not just about writing code. Software engineering is mainly like 20 to 30% of writing code when you're in college, and when you're in job, it's just about 15% of my day job. It's so much more. And for all that 85%, you have to have strong coding fundamentals, you have to have the knowledge of syntax and how systems work and all those things. I mean, obviously, if you do make a very big quantity of projects using VS Code, I can imagine people having some sort of understanding of what they're building. But again, you will not be able to compete with somebody who has absolute beast level understanding of the syntax or a programming language or a framework, or they have built apps from the scratch and now they are using AI to supercharge their workflows. On the other hand, if you're just using Cursor or any sort of AI agent to build your code, you will never be able to compete with them. And yeah, so that's my advice. When you're getting started, build at least 3 to 5 full stack big complex applications by hand, and then go full beast mode on AI. With the rapid advancements in artificial intelligence, do you think it makes sense to learn programming? Could you make tutorials on DSA with Python? Yes, it absolutely does make sense to understand programming and have your fundamentals cleared, because even if you will be working with AI, you need to understand the output of what the code is. And if you have strong fundamentals, like, it does not matter if you know a particular framework or a particular language. After a certain point of time, you will know what the AI is outputting or what your colleague is saying, and all that comes from experience and the hard work of doing the coding by hand initially. So yeah, programming fundamentals are very important. And as I mentioned in my last video, AI is accelerating the growth of technology. So as technology grows, it becomes better, it becomes more complex. And to handle those complex problems, to do problem solving in those situations, you need to be able to, have the basics of it cleared. And secondly, if you have ever tried vibe coding, have you ever tried debugging the code written by AI? It is a complete nightmare. You don't know what classes it used, what functions it used, what framework it is. And it is as if you are like, if you just build a project with AI and then you try to read it, it is so much more difficult than just writing it out from scratch. Writing code is so much fun, but reading somebody else's code, reading my coworker's code, reading the code of AI in this case, it's a nightmare. Like, you have to understand what choices they made. So you have to be in the position to give instructions to AI, to be able to give instructions about what you want in the first place. And to know that, you have to know the fundamentals. So yeah, it makes sense to know programming. Resources: can you make tutorials on DSA with Python? Bro, people call me bro, but yeah, like, there are so many Python DSA tutorials on the internet. I started off with Python. Maybe it was the wrong choice. I could have started with Go or C++ and whatever. But anyways, just type DSA Python tutorials and you'll have a bunch of stuff. I did it from NeetCode, but if you're just getting started with Python, do the basics of Python from FreeCodeCamp. I think they have OOPS also, they have basics also, they have some basic projects also. And if you want to go into machine learning, they have that also. If you want to go into web development using Django and Flask, they have that also. So cover the fundamentals in the next 3-4 months and then dive into, I would say, NeetCode. I mean, there's NeetCode, there's like so many other people who have just made absolutely amazing content on DSA in Python, and actually a lot of people prefer Python because of its easy syntax and stuff. So yeah, I mean, just search, bro. I know it's not an answer, but all of these things I'm saying for you to inculcate this ability to search, to find out answers, because obviously you guys have not lived pre-ChatGPT where we used to Google, we used to search for answers and stuff. And all of these things will be valuable in the future as well. So yeah, search it, man. Okay, so if you are at this stage of the video, thank you so much for sticking around. And now I'm going to transition to some of the personal questions that you guys have asked me and some of my friends have asked me. So yeah, thank you so much and let's get to it. Question number 1, what is your favorite field in tech? What do you most like about it? Well, I am still figuring out my favorite field in tech because I am also a fairly new person here. I am a self-taught developer, by the way, if you didn't know. I come from a mechanical engineering background, and then, I did my master's in robotics and AI, and now I'm doing software stuff. So I am also still figuring out, but I think all in all, this is a very good field. It's a very beautiful field, and I am in love with the idea that I don't have to be in a lab with a bunch of machines and stuff. I can just be with my laptop with an internet connection, and then I can do whatever I want. I can change the world. So yeah, people talk about cybersecurity, machine learning, DevOps, front end, back end, full stack. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff, and all of that's fascinating to me. But I think at the core of it, I'm a builder and not an operations guy. So I would want to, build stuff that bring value to people's lives. So yeah, that's my current stance on it. Okay, so this is a question that my friend have asked, and you know who you are. And they have asked, what is life pre and post 1000 subscribers? Lol. Thank you for pulling my leg. Yes, I know 1000 subscribers may not seem a big achievement for many. It is for me because I've been putting in effort on this channel, and it's not as if, I'm going against the boulder. I also enjoy doing these things. I also enjoy working on this channel. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, I think it also brings our attention to the bigger topic of achievement and success and outcome-based life, where we set our goals and then we achieve them, and then, the goalpost shifts, and then we start working towards these new goals, and all of this life is just a struggle towards reaching some goalposts, and then you would die. And I think one of the major reasons why I focus on goals but only on long-term ones, not on the short-term ones, is that I once dreamt of, coming to Purdue University in the US to do my master's. And then I got my admit. And before I got my admit, I was such a terrible person. I was, working so hard. I was not happy because, I was like, once I get the admit, I'll be happy. And then the admit came. And then I was happy for a couple of days. And I remember on the third day, something happened. I don't remember. I got angry or sad or something. And then at the end of the day, I was just reflecting on the fact that I had spent my last 2-3 years hustling and grinding for this admit and believing that once the admit comes, I'll be happy and I'll never be sad and I'll never be angry and I'll, live the best life. But then just on the third day, literally not even a week, I was sad about something. So like these goals and milestones, it doesn't matter. I mean, I've reached 1000 subscribers. Obviously, it's better to reach 5000, 10,000 because, I get comments from you guys. I can make more content. I get to learn new things and then, I articulate it here. So yeah, I mean, it's good, but it doesn't change how life is. I mean, there's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt, because this is the same shirt I was wearing when I filmed my first YouTube video. I mean, you can go back and, you can watch my face, how underconfident I was, how poorly produced those videos were, and all that jazz. So yeah, life has not changed. It has changed in some ways, but yeah, for the most part, playing the numbers game is something that I'm not a fan of. So yeah, that's that. What is life pre and post university? Well, in university, we have all the things but not money. and then after university we have money, and then no life because you're working for an employer and stuff. Well, I'm kidding. Like, obviously life changes a lot, but like there are obviously good and bad parts to both phases of life, and I think the best way to live is to live in that moment, because there's a time to do everything. You want to have a car when you're in a university, but then there's no use for that. You'll just be wasting your money. But then when you get a job, you want a car. So, having a car makes sense while you're at your job, because you have to commute, you have to go to other places and stuff for your work, for your personal stuff. So I think most of the times we are stuck believing that the future is better, but then when the future comes, we believe that the past was better. So I think the best way to live is to live in the moment and to believe that whatever is right now is the best. And yeah, that's that. Journey or destination? As I said, I have been both sides of the coin. I was a goals person, and then I was a journey person. Initially, I was fully focused on my goals, and I would sacrifice my happiness, my peace of mind to achieve the goal. And I did achieve those goals. And at the end of it, I felt some sort of hollowness inside of me. And then I transitioned into a person who would just enjoy the journey and then, just F the goals. But then that also didn't work out, because that results in a meaningless life where you're just wandering and stuff. We might as well be caveman monkeys then. So yeah, I think I've come to realize that it's a mix of both. It's a balance of both. In the long term, obviously we want to attain some goals, but in the short term, we want to live in the moment, and we just want to show up to every single challenge that we are faced with. All right, that is it. Thank you so much guys for watching this video, and if you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing. It always means a lot. And also subscribe to my weekly newsletter to get this sort of content more often in your email inbox, as opposed to on this YouTube channel, which is generally a bit more produced, a bit more curated, a bit more professional, because I value you guys' time and I want to bring the best bits to this channel. So yeah, please consider subscribing to me on my newsletter as well, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.